First and foremost, I wanted to start out with the irony. I was saying I literally just got finished watching Jackie Brown. And in Jackie Brown there's a video called Girls Who Love Guns. And Quentin Tarantino actually made the video for the movie. And there is a full-length video. It's about 5 minutes long. And you get the full-length video when you get the DVD. And in the video, they kill the director by accident. The cameraman. At the end of the video, one of the girls shoots the cameraman by accident. And they dedicated his memory. And I thought it was kind of crazy because I was getting watching that movie before I made this video. Alec Baldwin has been officially charged with manslaughter and a couple other things in the Rust shooting. Now, ironically, the Rust film is about a 13-year-old boy that accidentally killed somebody. And his grandfather, Alec Baldwin, tries to save him. Now, I've been a gun owner for almost 16... Matter of fact, this week is 16 years, I think. But I know almost nothing of movie making. So I have to be careful with how I talk about that. Okay, here's the background though. The Rust movie set had several people quit the production over safety concerns. And one of those safety concerns was no less than 2 negligent discharges, aside from the one negligent discharge that is the focus of this video. That goes a long way into expressing in a civil lawsuit and possibly a criminal trial that the producer, Alec Baldwin, who is also the person of interest in the actual shooting, said, you should have known better and taken more caution. If not, shut the film down entirely for safety concerns. Now, a single action revolver is the payphone of guns. If you buy it because it's cool, not because it's practical. It is totally obsolete. It was a bonanza, a quantum leap of innovation at the time, but now it is relegated to hunting, target shooting, or making movies about the Old West. A single action revolver, you have to actually open up a little hatch, insert the cartridge, turn the cylinder, insert the cartridge, turn the cylinder, insert, turn, insert, turn, insert, turn, close the cylinder, opening, okay, called loading gate, pull hammer, fire, 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 open the gate, move a spring, turn, spring, turn, spring. A lot of movies have these 2-gun shooters that, okay, in reality, watch the movie Unforgiven. In reality, in the Wild West, everyone carried 2 guns, exactly the same caliber, and in some cases the same exact model, because loading, unloading, and reloading a single action revolver is impossible under stress. It's impossible. Okay, and I don't have one to show you, unfortunately, but a lot of guys do when they were doing demonstrations of their own. Okay, when you do a Hollywood movie, you do things with guns that you normally wouldn't do, i.e., shoot people. In a Hollywood movie, it is perfectly okay to shoot people because it's a movie. It's not real. Now, some Hollywood movies, sometimes they use a fake gun that physically cannot load a real round. And sometimes, you look at this case, you look at the case of Brandon Lee, they use real guns loaded with blank bullets, and somehow, somewhere, a couple of times in history, here in The Crow, a real bullet was loaded by accident or negligence. Now, a blank bullet is not entirely safe per se. When I was younger, I was in Ocean City, Maryland, and it was frontier towns where they reenact robberies and shootings and shit like that. Right. And they had a stage train robbery, and I was giving the guy shit saying they're blanks, and the guy, the train robber, took an advertisement from one of the couples next to me, and shot it with his revolver with his blank bullet, and the blank bullet put a hole in the revolver, put a hole in the pamphlet. So I can have a gun with a blank bullet and shoot at point blank range, point blank, and it will do some damage. So blank bullets are not 100% safe. Okay? Nor are BBs or pellets. In fact, no object that comes out of a gun, unless it's a water gun, literally is 100% safe. You can still get hurt somehow. Now, the thing here is that Alec Baldwin took someone's word for granted. Someone told him the gun's fine, or the gun's cold, or the gun's safe, whatever the terminology is, and he took that for granted. And incidentally, other Hollywood people, example George Clooney, have come out and said, hey, when I'm doing a gun on a set, I check myself anyway. And there are Hollywood stuntmen and movie stars that, liberal or conservative, pro-gun or anti-gun, when they use guns on set, they check 3, 4, 5 times. Especially if the scene involves them putting a gun in someone's face, or holding someone at gunpoint, or shooting at someone. Okay? Now, obviously, if you're in a movie shooting at someone on camera and it's in the same shot, obviously I would use a fake gun. I would not want to use a real gun, or any gun that could load a real round, and I'd be checking 4 and 5 times. Now, the movie script did not call for any shot to be happening. Now, a lot of times the director will say, okay, you're gonna shoot him. Action, okay? Or let's rehearse the scene. You're gonna shoot him. Rehearse a few times. Okay? There was no shooting called for according to the script at that time. Was he trying to practice his quick draw? I don't know. But the punchline is Alec Baldwin pulled out his revolver, taking for granted that it was safe without verifying it himself. And when he pulled the revolver, there were people in front of him, several people. And one was hurt and one died. And the woman that died was 3 years older than me. She was born in 1979 in the Soviet Union. Okay, she came to this great country for her second chance in life. She was married to a man and had a son. So let's remember that they are human beings and this is their life. And this is for real to them. And I don't know how I would feel if now or as a little kid, if I got that call that my mother was killed because of an accidental shooting or negligence. I don't know how I feel. Seriously, I don't know how I would feel. I would probably wig the fuck out, man. I don't know how my mother, my aunt, my cousin, I would fucking wig out, man. I'd be angry as shit. Now, most firearm experts are testifying that, whether they're testifying in court or on YouTube, they are somehow explaining that their experience shooting single-action revolvers, maybe they hunt, maybe they do reenactments, maybe they just do single-action shooting society, okay? But in all their experience using a single-action revolver, they never saw it go off by accident. Single action, you gotta pull the hammer and the trigger. Okay, now if Alec Baldwin was doing a rehearsal or if he was just practicing his draw, okay, did he check the gun himself? No. And were there people in front of him? Yes. And the question is, no one thinks he wanted to kill her on purpose. No one thinks he hated her. The question that the criminal court wants to answer: was your action so negligent that it rises to criminality. You were criminally negligent. Example, if I were to drive drunk and I were to kill somebody, I didn't want him to die, but if you're driving drunk, what do you think is going to happen? Okay, you see these guys that have boulders and rocks and throw them off. Okay, a couple of overpasses in my hometown, especially some that I have to drive every night on my way to my night job. The overpass has a fence, and the fence curves this way. So if you're walking on the, it's a bridge that it's like a very, very short, big overpass bridge. Okay, it's a bridge that's no more than 200 feet long, and you can drive over it or walk over on a little sidewalk area. The fence is here, curves like this. So, now that's not to make it difficult for you to commit suicide, although maybe it would be, but that's to make sure you don't throw shit over the bridge. And my father, oh God, I was like 4, was driving somewhere, and he sees an overpass somewhere, and a guy's up top on the overpass, and the guy threw a metal thing down and hit the trunk of an '85 Dodge Aries. And for years after that trunk was never fixed. For years after that dent was there. It could have come through the windshield. Okay. My father was driving. He saw the guy holding the thing in his hand. And maybe he figured if I jam my brake, I'll hurt somebody. I'll just drive fast. I don't know, but okay. So if you're driving drunk or throwing stuff over freeway overpasses, the concept is you didn't mean to kill somebody. But what would a logical person think is gonna happen? Now, Alec Baldwin had a real gun in his hand. A real gun that on the movie set shoots blank bullets. Or at least it's supposed to. Okay? So the thing is this. I'm on a movie set. Alec Baldwin's on a movie set. He has a real gun that in theory could fire a real bullet if you put a real bullet in it. The movie script does not call for him to shoot anything at this time. But for whatever reason, he pulls the gun from the holster. And he points the gun in this direction where there are people standing in front of it. Would a logical person think that was a safe idea? Now, if I'm in a movie and I have to shoot a guy in the movie script, if I'm doing the cut scene where I shoot and then the camera shows the guy go down, I can shoot a wall with a real bullet. And a second later, they can film a guy falling down. And when you see it in the movies, magic. But if I'm making a movie, this is me personally, and I gotta shoot a guy in a single shot where you're gonna see me shoot him on camera, I would tell the director flat out, I'm not using a real gun. Do we have a fake gun or some shit? Because if I'm pointing a gun at the stuntman or at the actor, I'm not gonna point a real gun at him. I want a fake gun or some plot. I want something that cannot shoot a real bullet. And I'm gonna examine it myself off camera. Myself. I don't give a fuck if God himself comes down from heaven and tells me that gun is clean. I'm gonna look at it anyway. And I'm gonna share something I probably shared once before. When I got my first gun, my Glock 23, my FFL would show me how to field trip it. He field stripped it in front of me. And I said, okay, now you do it. Here's the thing, though. The Glock, you have to pull the trigger. Now, I took the gun from him, pointed at the ground, pulled the trigger so I could start the assembly process. He grabbed the gun from me and said, how do you know I didn't sneak a bullet in there? He told me, you always check it. He said, I said, if it went up, I would be able to fucking hell with it. Okay, this is a cop. He's retired now. He's a cop at the time. I was still a civilian. I hadn't gotten a job yet. But he wanted me to know. I don't give a fuck if I filtered it right in front of you. If you saw me empty it right in front of you. I mean, I took it out of the case brand new. It was never loaded. Okay? He emphasized, I don't give a fuck what you see. You always check it yourself. And keep in mind, I had looked at him using it and then pointed at the ground. I didn't grab it and say, okay, it's clean, and point that at someone. Okay? Now, if I have to fire the gun for real, whether it's a blank bullet or a real bullet, if I have to fire the gun for whatever reason on the set, I'm going to tell the director, the producer, whoever is in charge, the cameraman, I'm going to tell them, I am going to draw my gun now and point it in that direction. I want everyone to get out of the way. I'm going to pull the gun out this way, or cross how I'm going to do it. I'm going to pull the gun out this way. Maybe I'm pulling the gun out like this, or cross draw like this. And I'm going to tell whoever's in the room, I want every single person in the room to be out of the path. I'm going to draw my hand now. My hand. When I draw the gun, I'm going to pull the gun like this. And I want everyone within this path out of the way right now. I am not going to make this action unless I see every single person that is in this general area move out of the way right now. I will not film this scene. I will not rehearse this scene. I will not pull out my gun unless I know for a fact every single person is out of this way. And if there's a wall there, I'm going to say what's behind that wall. And if I go behind the wall and see two teamsters having a cup of coffee, I'm going to say, guys, we're doing a demonstration. Get out of the fucking way now. Okay? When I'm at the range and the target falls, you got to go beyond the firing line. And nowadays, the range rules, they want to go themselves. Here's the goal. They would say, okay, everybody get out of the way. One guy go down the range. Nowadays, they say, everybody get out of the way. I'm going to go down the range. The instructor, not the shooter. And if I'm at the range, I was at the range a couple months ago, and a target went down. And I said, okay, we got to go get that target. We're going to have a cease. Everybody's going to put their gun down. You're going to get out of the booth. You're going to put your gun down that way. We're going to have a cease. And I went out and I told the instructor, we have a target down. We have to do a cease. The instructor said, I'll be right out. He turned on a light. It's a red flashing light. And he says, you guys stay back. We'll do this. And they went down and fixed the rig. Okay? Everybody got out of the way. Okay? Now, there were a couple of incidents where people walked off the job. Now, I don't know how they work it out. You know, Hollywood, you have, or Hollywood studios that are in other places like Mexico, you have janitors and big movie stars. Okay? Union guys, you know, Screen Actors Guild, Teamsters Union, wherever you're from. A lot of guys are in some kind of union or guild. Okay? Right. Now, if I walk off the job, I imagine if it's a Hollywood studio, I imagine I can call my agent or my union delegate or the manager of the studio and say, listen, man, I am on this movie set. I'm the janitor. I'm the secretary. I'm the script guy. I'm the guy that gets the fucking whatever I do. Okay, I'm the star of the movie. I am unsafe on this set, and I am not gonna go back to that set. Put me on another set. I'll be out of work for a month without pay, but put me on another set. You might work at McDonald's, and your McDonald's might be in a bad area, and you might get a lot of drunken assholes coming in acting like fucking dickheads and starting shit. And or you might have your co-workers that are themselves hotheads, and they walk around with a chip on their shoulder, and they want to kick your fucking ass all day. Fuck you, I'll kick your ass, all that bullshit, okay? Yes. And you might call the district manager of your McDonald's franchise and say, listen, man, I don't care if I got to get in the car in 45 minutes. I don't want to go back to that McDonald's. I want to work at another McDonald's because my safety is in danger. And 99.99% of the time, the union delegate, the manager, the boss, someone who's ever in charge of it, would say, yeah, you feel unsafe, I'll transfer you to another location. And if they don't, you may have to say, listen, I quit. Your safety comes first. I normally don't endorse walking off the job. I normally don't endorse quitting. But if you're in a situation, whether you're at McDonald's in a bad neighborhood with a bunch of assholes around you all day, or you're on a movie set where they're having negligent discharges of firearms, you may have yourself in a position where you tell your boss and your delegate, your union guy, whoever the fuck you're going to talk to, if I don't get transferred, I'm quitting. And yeah. Because you don't want to put yourself in a position like this. You know, this was not an isolated incident. There were a couple of negligent discharges before this. And during break time, they would take the prop guns, the movie guns, and make a makeshift range and shoot real bullets. Well, if this gun is going to be used on camera, and if you're going to be taking this gun and pointing it at people in the movie, why are you now putting real bullets in it? Because what if tomorrow or next week you forget? Okay? And that's probably what happened. They probably had this gun on their makeshift range a day or two earlier. And they probably shot real bullets out of the gun for target shooting, just for the hell of it. Or maybe because they're in a Western movie, they want to be able to act like Western people. And they're shooting real bullets. And they put the gun away. The next day it gets passed around. It ends up in Alec Baldwin's hand. And next thing you know, he's killing somebody with it. And now he's going to face charges. Because the question is that the judge and possibly jury, I guarantee there'll be a jury called in. Oh, and by the way, that jury is going to be sequestered. That jury's going to a hotel room. A case is well publicized, they don't want that jury at home. And the question is, were your actions so reckless that it raises to the point of criminality? I think so. He didn't check the gun himself. He pointed the gun at people when the script didn't call for it. And if you're pointing a gun on a movie set, you should only point the gun at the actor or stuntman that the script tells you to after you verify the gun is either a fake gun or blank bullets or whatever the fuck the script calls for. Okay? So, you're not supposed to point the gun at the camera guy, the director, the producer, or the script girl, or the janitor. Because you're supposed to point the gun at your adversary. After the director said, okay, we're gonna shoot now. Literally. That's the issue. And I think what did Baldwin in is his mouth. He went on because his ego, his mantra, his publicity. Okay, he was not satisfied. He wanted his loyal fan base to know that it was everyone's fault except his own. And he went on TV and talked to every single person that would listen to him and told his version of things. Here's the problem. That's evidence. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. When they say that, they don't mean anything you say during interrogation. They don't mean anything you say while you're sitting in a jail cell. Anything you say or said at any point in your life is admissible in court, unless you said it to your attorney or you said it to your priest. If I go into a confession booth and I tell my priest, I didn't pull the trigger, I thought it was okay, it's everyone's fault except mine, okay? Or my lawyer, I tell it to, okay? My priest, my lawyer, they, by law, cannot, the priest, God's word is final. When Ted Bundy was arrested, he asked for a Catholic priest to come in. And the Catholic priest went into the interrogation and closed the door behind him. Whatever they discussed is between them. It is illegal. It is illegal for the court to call your lawyer or your priest to the stand. O.J. Simpson. Robert Kardashian is caught on camera removing items from O.J.'s house after O.J.'s ex-wife and her boyfriend were found murdered. The reason why Robert Kardashian called the Bar Association and reactivated his law license and joined the law team was because the law allows your best friend to be forced to testify against you. But the law does not allow your lawyer to be forced to testify against you. Okay? And Robert Kardashian was the dummy guy. He sat in the dummy seat in that case. He didn't do anything important. But he was on the team because he can't be forced to testify. He can't be asked. However, anything you told anyone else except your lawyer and your priest can be called into question. Example, if you talk to your best friend. Here's the thing. The Fifth Amendment says you cannot be forced to testify against yourself. But your best friend can be forced to testify against you. So can your children. So can your spouse. You look that up. Also, you're doing interviews on national television. The film is all over the internet. It can be submitted in court. Yes, it can be. Criminal and civil. Okay? And I think he should go to prison. Because his actions were so reckless that I think it raises to that level. Okay, that's my opinion. We'll see how it ends up.